Well. Clemson Tiger fans, college football fans, welcome back to another episode of the All In Show right here on Clemson Football at the Voice of College Football. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Will Garrett Riley, Bolt for ECU. What's our injury situation coming out of the bye week, and what challenges does this Louisville offense present the Clemson Tigers this Saturday? We'll talk about all of that and more. It's coming up in tonight's episode. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us. We are on the road to 6,000 subscribers, so help us out with that. Be greatly appreciated. Also, this is a live video, so if you could hit that like button while you guys are in here in the live chat, that would really help us out and get the video out to more people and bring more people into the channel. So, guys, thank you so much for that. And then last but certainly not least, we got the Super Chat feature available for you guys. If you want to support what me and Jordan do here on the All In Show, hit that Super Chat button, type in your comment and or question, and me and Jordan will be sure to react or respond to it during the live show tonight. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on my co-host, Jordan Bowman. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Just ready for this time of year to kind of pass. I'm so tired of these election ads. I've been getting them. I opened the stream and I get an election.
I can't even watch sports anymore without politics popping up on my TV.
Yeah, man.
Ain't nobody trying to hear all that. I can't wait. I'm with you, man. I can't wait until the 5th comes and goes and we can stop talking about it, or at least stop seeing the ads.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will have plenty to say regardless of which way it goes. So, that won't end, but at least I won't have to watch any ridiculous ads on my TV anymore.
Some of them are funny, but
some of them are funny. I'll give them that. They get creative. That's for certain. I don't know if some of them had anything to do with running the country, but hey, it is what it is. We'll leave the politics for a different channel. But I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice tonight, but I got, man, starting not last night, the night before that, just allergies. And they jumped on me these past couple of days. I don't really feel sick, but my voice is a little funny. I'm kind of stuffed up, runny nose, sneezing, that kind of stuff. So I think it's just the change of the seasons, that time of year again. So, but sorry, this show is starting so late tonight, guys. Completely my fault. I was running way late tonight. I asked Jordan if we could push the show back, and he greatly obliged me on that. So thank you for that, Jordan. And thank you, everybody, for hanging in there and staying with us, even though we're starting late tonight. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I'm going to have to get out of here pretty early. I'm going to just put that out there because I myself am not feeling that great. So, we're going to, push through it.
That's right.
And you guys just be here and support because, it's been a week for me. But I just got back in town. I had to be in Tennessee over the weekend. So, for work-related thing. Yeah. So I probably caught something over there. So who knows?
That's what happens when you fly around the country in the metal tubes. It just something seems to always jump on you.
That's what happens, man.
But I guess let's go ahead and get started with the show tonight since we have a limited time already due to time constraints. So let's go ahead and dive into the show. Quick shout out to the comment section real quick. John Sarin in here, one of our moderators, also one of our longtime supporters. Thank you so much for being in here. Isaac Smith in here as well. Sports Talk with Austin. Thank you for showing up. Says go Cards. A Louisville fan in here. So thanks for showing up, man. Really do appreciate it. Hope you will stick around with us even after the Louisville Clemson game. Bo Weevil is in here. The Hard Take. Hey, what's up, buddy? Glad you could make it. I can't imagine what time it is for you right now. But thanks for stopping by regardless. I think I hit everybody there. So thanks for already getting into the live chat section. Keep it going in there, guys. And we're gonna get to the show. Make sure you guys hit that like button for us while you're in there. It is free, and it really does help the channel out when you guys hit those like buttons, specifically on these live videos. It helps with every video, but definitely more so when we're live. It'll get us pushed up and kind of more people, more eyes on the video. So appreciate you guys for that help. Let's go ahead and dive into the first topic of the night, and we're going to go ahead and start with the injury update. Not a lot of injury news for the Tigers, thankfully, coming out of the bye week. We talked about it last week during the bye week episode of the All In Show, and we talked about really two key names that are still kind of on this list, right? You got Tyler Brown, fresh off that tightrope surgery. They kind of shut him down after, I think, the Florida State game. They shut him down, and he's kind of he had that tightrope surgery, recovering from that. It's really a case-by-case basis. Dabo Swinney made it pretty clear that he will not play in this game on Saturday against Louisville. So that's a blow to the wide receiver core. Did talk a little bit about the possibility, depending on how long Tyler Brown, takes to recover from this ankle injury, talked about possibly a redshirt scenario with Tyler Brown because he has missed so much time this season. He's already played in 4 games, so in order to redshirt him, it would require him to sit out the rest of the 5 regular season games that the Tigers have left, but he could play all of the postseason at that point in time because the postseason does not count against the redshirt. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch going forward. I'm sure they will, if the rest of the wide receiver core continues to play pretty well and step up in the ways that they had in the first half of the season, I think you may see them lean towards letting him come back a lot slower than they probably would have in previous seasons. And then you got Brian Wesco, obviously had the ankle injury, rehabbing from that, kind of getting back from that. Sounds like he's a full go in practice this week. Dabo said during his interview this week that really the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, would kind of lay out, or yesterday and today, I guess, would kind of lay out whether he was fully back from that ankle injury and it was fully healed. So hopefully we get some good news there. But I feel like he should play at least some on Saturday. Might have limited snaps, stuff like that, but I feel like Brian Wesco will play. Tyler Brown obviously won't play. Your thoughts on the Tigers' injury situation heading out of the second bye week of the season and into this Louisville game?
Yeah, in regards to Tyler Brown, I definitely don't expect him to be out there on Saturday. I think they're I think the way things are trending right now, with the way that the wide receiver room is played and how deep this group is and has been and capable this group has been. I mean, there's not really a reason to rush him back. I think they want to make sure that he recovers because it sucks not to have him out there because, man, he was so good for you last year and you were hoping he would be able to build on it as a sophomore. But it's the Clemson sophomore wide receiver curse or whatever. It's kind of a trend. I really don't know what to make of it. There's not really any. I don't know if there's anything you could point to that say, okay, well, this is the reason why it's happening. It's just bad luck. And I know he wants to be out there, but I think they're gonna take their time, and if they can get him that red shirt and possibly get him back for the postseason, whether it be a playoff type situation or not, that would be ideal. I think so. With him, I definitely don't expect him out there this Saturday for sure, but we'll see how he goes, moving forward. And then with Bryant Wesco, it's still kind of it was trending last week. I think in terms of I think that feel pretty confident he's going to be back. I think Dabo mentioned today that he practiced some, but not as much as he would have liked. So they're still trying to bring him on a little bit. I would lean towards him playing, but it's not as much of a sure thing as maybe it seemed like. But again, we'll see how he does tomorrow and Friday and of course the day of, because he's still day to day, so to speak. So we'll see. But I would lean towards him playing. either way, and we'll talk about it in the Louisville preview. I think you've done pretty well. This wide receiver room has done pretty well without those two in the lineup. So you'll survive. I think. No matter what direction it goes, I think.
Yeah, I think specifically, this week, and you're right, we will get into it during the Louisville preview. I think you feel pretty comfortable with what you got, right? Wesco, I think, is really nice to have right now in this game. I don't think he's if we don't have him, I don't think we're going to lose. If we do have, I don't think he's a win or lose kind of piece, for this week anyway. We could talk about games down the road and playoffs and all that kind of stuff, and he's definitely an important piece to this offense. I don't want to minimize what Brian Wesco means to this offense, but with the way that everybody's been stepping up, to your point, I think we'll be okay. And I think we're in a really good situation as far as the injuries go. And, Tyler Brown, I think ultimately they probably try to hold him and redshirt him. I think that's where they go with it. And then Bryant Wesco, I would rather him sit another game or two and be fully healthy when he comes back instead of rushing back into it, tweaking that ankle again, and then you're losing him for valuable, potential ACC championship game, postseason type games. Much rather have him for those games. Although we got a couple, key matchups coming up, specifically the ACC slate that we have for the next 3 weeks. That's super important, obviously, to Clemson season. But with how everybody stepped up around him, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when compared to previous seasons, I mean, yeah, you could be doing a lot worse. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. 26 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for showing up tonight. Hit that like button while you're in here. Remember, at the end of the show, we will take questions and comments from the live chat, so stick around for that. Appreciate each and every one of you for getting in here tonight. All right, Jordan. Riley to ECU. Obviously, his name has been dropped. The ECU coach has obviously been fired. Garrett Riley's name has been a hot ticket item since that job opened up as a potential hire for ECU. Obviously, he's got some history at that university. That's kind of where he got his start into coaching, so he does have some connections there. But the main question is, will Garrett Riley entertain this job? You think about the pros and the cons of this position, right? Obviously, it'd be a huge opportunity for him. It's his first head coach opportunity. Obviously, you cannot minimize that in any way. He's got history with the university. It's where he got his start as a college football coach. So that obviously means something. I'm sure he has relationships with a lot of individuals there. You think about some of the cons, it's kind of a lateral move as far as pay. Obviously not position. You're obviously running your own program. But as far as how well Clemson is compensating Garrett Riley right now, he's not going to get much more at ECU, if any more, being the head coach there with a lot more responsibility. The changing landscape in college football, that can't be underplayed. When you're talking about taking a position at a non-Power 4 conference, you're going to be even more limited, especially with the transfer portal and all these Power 4 conference teams poaching the players that you do end up developing into special players, right? So that's something to think about. And he's just kind of hitting his stride with Clemson, right? So those are my just kind of quick pros and cons on this ECU job. Obviously, he was asked about it in his interview this week, and he gave the typical Clemson coach response that they all give. I'm focused on where my feet are planted. I'm focused on, the Louisville game and game planning and all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on Garrett Riley's name and his connection to this ECU job?
I mean, yeah, you basically hit on it. Obviously Riley does have, connections there and a history there. Being, him and his brother, both. So there are a lot of ties to that university. But you mentioned, I think the biggest thing is that it's not really a bump in pay grade. Mike Houston was making just a little bit over $2 million a year. Garrett Riley is making right around $2 million a year. as an offensive coordinator. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. From a compensation standpoint, at least, you wouldn't be taking much of a pay bump, if any. And with regards to ECU as a job itself, like they just, if you've looked at, their results over the last, 10, 15 years, has not been good. They've had good teams in the past. They used, this is my mom's alma mater. I have a lot of love for that school. My favorite NFL player of all time, Chris Johnson, went there. Yeah. But like they have not invested in that program as much as even some of the schools in their own conference. And it'd be a tough job to go there and win and turn around. And so there are a lot of things that just, don't. If I'm Garrett Riley, I'm definitely waiting for a better opportunity. And, you're at a school like Clemson where your profile is about as high as it can get from a visibility and stature standpoint to springboard into a head coaching job. So I don't really take much, to these, hey, anything can happen in this world, but I think Garrett is here to stay at least for this year and potentially. I feel pretty confident he'll be your offensive coordinator next year too. But that's neither here nor there. That's another conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you can never say never when it comes to things like this. It's always tempting when you're a coordinator, regardless of where you're at and how well you're compensated. It's always tempting to get offered a job like this and to think about running your own program and doing things your way and, things you would do. That's always an exciting opportunity, and I'm sure it is for Garrett Riley. And I think 100% he will eventually be a head coach. I just don't think this is the job for him. I know the connections there from, where he got his start into college coaching and all of that. I know the history there, but, you point out the pay. It's a non-Power 5 job. I just don't see him leaving Clemson as well as he's compensated as the offensive coordinator here. I don't see him leaving for a non-Power 5 job. That's just my opinion. I could be ultimately proven wrong, but that's just what I think about it. No shade to ECU, no shade to that program whatsoever. I just don't think he would leave for an opportunity such as that. But again, never say never, but we'll see. But I think he's really starting to hit his stride at Clemson, and I think he's at least here one more season. After that, hey, it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
All right, we got 33 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Hit that like button while you're in here. I want to draw your guys' attention to Disputed National Champions. That's right. Mark Rogers has dropped his first ever book, and it is essentially a book outlining college football's historical champions, specifically in the 1990s, where there was chaos and the decision-making that went into all of those champions in the 1990s and all of that craziness. So if you're a big-time college football fan and really a college football historian, I encourage you to go to Amazon. I got it right up here on the screen here. Go type in Disputed National Champions, a book by Mark Rogers. Support the guy that gives me and Jordan the opportunity to come on this channel and talk about Clemson football and give you guys our thoughts and give us a platform to kind of hang out and just talk college football every week. Repay that to him. It's not a very expensive book, so go check it out. Disputed National Champions, College Football's Historical 1990s Reset. So go check it out. It's a good read, guys, and I hope you'll go support Mark Rogers in that way. A November to remember, Jordan. If you've listened to any of the Clemson interviews over the past few weeks, really, whether it be player interviews, coaches interviews, articles written about the team, you've heard this phrase over and over and over again. November to remember. And really the question boils down to is Clemson's coming fresh off a bye week, right? We got a big slate of ACC games coming up. You got Louisville this week. You got Virginia Tech. You got Pitt. Those three huge games are coming up. Pitt and Virginia Tech are both on the road. So I kind of want to visit the question, what does Clemson have to do to get out of the month of November and be undefeated in the month of November? What do we need to see improvements on the defensive side of the ball? And what do we need to see improvements-wise on the offensive side of the ball for us to get through the rest of this ACC schedule and ultimately that South Carolina game without a loss? What are your thoughts, Jordan?
Yeah. I think one of the themes that was discussed, during the week was there were a couple of players, Walker Parks in particular, talked about the 2022 season in which, Clemson was undefeated heading into November. They narrowly escaped Syracuse, went on a bye week. And that first game in November was on the road at Notre Dame. And I'm sure you guys remember that beatdown against the Notre Dame team that had lost to Marshall and Stanford earlier in the year, was starting Drew Pine, their backup quarterback. That was one of the just ugliest Clemson games in recent memory, as just far as an execution standpoint, especially offensively. And Walker, he talked about kind of how their mentality going into that game was, they just kind of expected to win. They did not prepare as well as they should have. They did not take their opponent as seriously as they should have. And you go on the road and against a team that, while they were struggling, had more than enough talent to beat you, and they beat you pretty badly and soundly.
Yeah,
he got pushed around on both lines of scrimmage. You couldn't throw the ball down the field, couldn't run the ball really at all. DJ got benched at one point. And Cade comes in and throws a pick. It was a disaster on all front. Special teams was horrendous, and that was a theme in the rivalry game a few weeks later. And so, I think just for this team, first and foremost, it's keeping the mentality that you've had, through this 6-game winning streak. In terms of your preparation, in terms of focus, mentality, taking every opponent, as seriously as possible, 1 week at a time. That's first and foremost. So it's not even an X's and O's offense or defense thing. It's just it's a mentality thing. They just that focus from week to week, and I think we've seen that this year in comparison to that 2022 team that was undefeated up until November. But they had some close calls. They weren't obviously they weren't nearly as good offensively. And so I think that's ultimate. First and foremost, that is the biggest thing that they need to do. And then in terms of offense and defense, to keep it short, offensively, just I don't have too many complaints as far as how they've played this year. It's just continue to execute at a high level. Cade, trusting his arm and making the plays that are there, not trying to force things. And you should be okay. This offense is more than talented enough. And then defensively, I think, and specifically, people have kind of ragged on the secondary a little bit. I've seen it in some of our games, and really, I think that's not the thing that has not that you could use the most of. It's I think first and foremost, you need to get to the quarterback more than you have this year. I believe you're 61st, I think, in pass rush or pressure rate. I think according to PFF, it's not. Yeah. It's not, but you're pretty average in terms of how well you're getting to the quarterback right now. Having a really good pass rush, takes away from how long that your secondary has to cover, and it opens everything else up. So getting to the quarterback more, and obviously I think the linebacker play, you need to develop the consistency, because this linebacker group is talented, but they have not always played up to their ability. They've had spurts and flashes here or there in games, but as far as putting together a complete game, that's something that we're still kind of waiting to see.
Yeah.
So defense, get to the quarterback more. Linebackers need to step up, and I think the back end will be okay. At least the first stringers, and the rest will take care of itself. Special teams keep not being an issue, and you should be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Special teams. The more we're not talking about them, the better off we are, probably. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. For me, on the defensive side of the ball, it's really just building that consistency, right? There's been points and times in the season where we've lacked a little discipline, right? And we've at times we've lacked setting that edge. That's going to come up this week for sure. We've gotten a little bit better at it the past couple of weeks, but we got to continue to build that consistency at the edge position and at the linebacker position with setting that edge and fitting the proper run holes and just fitting everything up properly. That's going to be a point of emphasis this week. I think it'll be good to see the defense kind of have to play a complete game. Still waiting on this defense to really play a fully complete game this season. So just building consistency, I think, at the defensive side of the ball, and then the offense, just continuing to take shots down the field, continuing to be aggressive, making sure that you're staying explosive, right, and taking your shots when they're there, and that offensive line continuing to play at a very high level, right. That has to continue through the month of November if you're gonna get out of here and win all the rest of your games. You got 5 games left, 3 big ACC matchups, 2 of which are on the road. Obviously, you got the South Carolina game at the end of the season. That's looking a little bit tougher than we thought it was going to be probably coming into the season. So you always got to be prepared for that. Then you got the Citadel thrown in there. Shouldn't be any problems there. If you're having problems there, we're probably having the wrong conversation right now. So I don't see any issues there. But, it's just, to your point, staying focused, right? Game by game, opponent by opponent. Clemson always talks about, you hear the players talk about it, you hear the coaches talk about it, playing to a standard, right? You're playing against Clemson every single week. It's kind of cliche. It's kind of coach speak, but it really is the truth. You got to hold yourself to a standard, and those standards have lapsed at certain points in times this season, but you've seen the flashes from the defense. And I think the defensive numbers, if you look at them as a whole, I think Clemson's down in the 50s as far as total defense. Last I checked, I don't think that's really indicative of how good this defense actually is. Part of that has been playing a lot of young guys and teams getting a lot of points in the fourth quarter. Part of that has been playing to a scoreboard at times. They've been caught with that, but I don't think the statistics on this Clemson defense really match up with how good this first team group is, right? I'll give you, once we get into the depth is probably an issue, a point of concern for this defense. But those first guys that roll out there, I think they're as advertised. They're a really good defense, and they're going to have their work cut out for them this week. This is going to be the best offense they play since Georgia. So got to stay focused. Got to keep your head down. Can't read your press clippings. Everybody talking about, how explosive this Clemson offense, and is Clemson, back to closer to the caliber team they were before. Don't worry about none of that. Don't worry about being dropped to 11th. Embrace it all, because at the end of the day, being dropped to 11th doesn't really matter, because if you take care of what you need to take care of, hey, we're good to go.
Right. And to your point about the defense, yeah, I mean, I think the statistics, certainly, especially the raw, counting statistics, don't really reflect how good this defense is. I don't think this defense is elite.
No.
They have not earned that label. I don't think they are anywhere close to elite. But I mean, if you look at, the advanced statistics, they're a solid top 20, top 25 defense. You know, especially when it comes to efficiency, you know, opponent adjusted, metrics and more advanced, like SP plus and FEI. Yeah, they have this defense, closer to the top 20, in the top 25 and not in the 50s,
right.
which is what the total defense would tell you.
Yes.
So, but I think this group still has they've obviously not played up to their ability as a unit. You've had really good individual players, but as far as having a complete performance, you've had a couple. I mean, I think Wake Forest was a pretty about as complete a performance as you've had defensively this year. But you just from week to week, it hasn't been it hasn't been there. So you need to get if you continue to improve on the things that you haven't done so well, I think it'll come. But obviously, you got to see it first. And so, and as you mentioned, the team you're playing this week, best offense you've played since Georgia, and I'd say the best offense you've played since Georgia by a pretty decent margin.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So they're good. Got to be on your P's and Q's this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that. Got 48 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. Go and get into the comment section. We'll get to your comments and questions at the end of the show. Make sure you guys please hit that like button for me while you're in here. It really helps the show out, and I really appreciate your guys' help on that. Time to roll right into the Louisville preview, Jordan. This Saturday, it's a night game in the Valley. I think it's 7:30 kickoff. Louisville comes to town. I don't believe Clemson has lost to Louisville before. So that's a stat for you. But we're going to go ahead and start on the offensive side of the ball for Louisville. And they got some playmakers over there. This is, like I mentioned before in the last segment, far and beyond the best offense you have played since that Georgia game. We all know how that Georgia game ended up, a 30-point loss in favor of the Bulldogs. They kind of rolled us in the second half, really got it going, and we didn't have answers on offense or defense really in that second half, and it really got out of hand pretty quickly. But this Louisville offense is no slouch coming in. Like I said, I think this might be the week where this defense has to put together a four-quarter game. It could turn into that. This offense can put points up on the boards. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They can really do it all. It starts with Tyler Shough, obviously their quarterback. I think he's like a seventh-year guy. Am I right about that?
He's been
he's about 45 years old. I don't know, something like that.
I saw it. I saw a tweet. I think it was by Chapel Fowler with the State. It might have been John Blau. I can't remember. But he said that he mentioned that when Tyler Shough was a freshman in Oregon in, I believe, 2018. So yeah, he would be a seventh year senior.
Yeah, 7-year guy.
Hay Klubnik was a 14-year-old freshman at Westlake High School.
I mean, that tells you all you need to know, and that's the climate we are in college football right now, right? Like you got a lot of these 5th, 6th, 7-year guys that have just stuck around college football for a long time, and obviously it's paying off for a guy like Tyler Shough. He's having a heck of a year, 2,300 yards passing, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, really balling out. Isaac Brown, their running back, 86 carries for 649 yards, 6 touchdowns. Really good, like I said, running game. Then they got that wide receiver, Ja'Cory Brooks, 44 receptions for 799 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's just to mention a few of their playmakers that they have on this Louisville offense. They're very creative with how they use their guys. They're aggressive. Like I said, they can run the ball really well. I think they average over 150 yards a game rushing and over 300 yards passing a game in the passing game. So averaging over 400 yards a game is no small feat. I don't care who you're playing. So this Louisville offense has really been elite. They got 3 losses on the season, all by 1 score, just 7 points for all 3 of their losses. And you could be like, yeah, but they lost the game. But they kept all of them close, right, including that Miami game. So they've done a really good job of kind of, just quietly being a really good team. Talk about, the season they had last year kind of took the ACC by storm and was kind of that team that was the dark horse. So they're looking really good. What do you think about this Louisville offense coming into the game on Saturday? What challenges are they going to present this Clemson Tiger defense?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Jeff Brom, I want to start with their head coach. I mean, the guy is one of the best offensive minds in the sport. I think he's gotten more of the love nationally. It took him a while when he was at Purdue for him to really get the credit he deserved. But he's really shown it all in his first couple of seasons at Louisville. When I watch this team, I mean, they're incredibly well coached first and foremost. Tyler Shuck is experienced, very poised in the pocket, not a super mobile guy, but he does know how to work the pocket, and he delivers the ball with a lot of accuracy and a lot of confidence. And they have some really, really dynamic receivers, catching the football for him. So you mentioned Ja'Cory Brooks, Chris Bell, Colin Lacey, of course, won't be playing in this game since he's sitting out. But this is a really, really talented passing offense, and I think their run game it has been complimentary enough. It's not like otherworldly, like they're 150 yards a game is pretty good. It's not like elite. But right. they make you respect that part of their game. And their running game starts with the true freshman Isaac Brown. He's been one of the best players, one of the best running backs in the ACC and in the country so far this year. I think when it comes to this Clemson defense and stopping Louisville, I think it starts with that. I think you have to make them one-dimensional. As talented as Tyler Shuck, as talented as Louisville's receivers are, and as good as Tyler Shuck has been this year, when Isaac Brown has really gotten off on teams, they've been downright unstoppable on offense. So I think stopping their run game, although that's kind of a coaching cliche, stop the run, stop the run, stop the run. I think that's going to be paramount this week, and that means you need to continue to play well up front. Linebackers have to step up in a big way, and they're gonna throw a lot at you in terms of different running concepts. So they're gonna attack the perimeter, which means you're gonna need help from your second level guys, corners, and safeties included. They make you defend the entire length of the field. So I think this offense is really dynamic. They have some really, really good playmakers. I think the one weakness that this team has showed this year is I don't think they pass protect particularly well. The sack numbers aren't like ginormous, but the pressure numbers are really, really high, and the havoc rate allowed is pretty high. So I think which is why we talked about this Clemson defense getting to the quarterback better than they have this season. I think if there's one weakness on this Louisville offense, it's been their offensive line, and they've had a couple of injuries, but they just that has been the one thing that's held them back in some of these games is giving up pressures and allowing defenses to affect Tyler Shuck in the passing game. So getting to the quarterback it has to be the other key for this defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely have to get after the quarterback, get him off schedule. And to your point about the running game, you can't allow this Louisville offense to stay on schedule. That's when they're really going to hurt you. That's when they're going to make it very difficult for your defense. So you got to stop them on these early downs. You got to keep them off schedule. Get them into second and long situations, third and long situations, obvious passing situations. So your guys like TJ Moore, a Jaheim Lawson, you could put your pass rush specialists in there and really get after Tyler Shuck and make him uncomfortable in the pocket, speed him up, force him into mistakes. I feel good about our secondary. I know Louisville has some really good wide receivers, but I feel really good about how our secondary has been playing lately. I know Jaden Lucas got a lot of heat early on in the season for how he was playing, but I think he's really stepped it up over the past couple of weeks. Everybody knows Avion Terrell and how amazing he has been so far this season. So I feel really good about that. If we could force them into second, third, and long situations, really pin our ears back and come after the quarterback, I think it probably turns into a long day for Louisville. They're not able to move the ball as freely as they have been on some of these defenses. But really, that goes to how you defend the field, right? You talk about the perimeter. They're going to work in the screen game. They're going to throw a lot of passes out of the backfield to the running back. So your linebacker is going to have to cover, sideline to sideline. And they're going to test your athleticism. They're going to test your speed. They're going to see if you can tackle out on the perimeter in open space. They're going to try you. So, like I said, this Clemson defense, I think, has their work cut out for them this week, but I think they're up to the task. I really do trust this defense. I think the numbers, like I said before, don't give them enough credit for how good that I think the first team defense is. To your point, they're not elite. Not saying they're elite, but I think they could give this Louisville offense some problems. We have the athletes. We have the skill on the field to be able to at least contain this Louisville offense to a point. Do I think they're going to goose egg them on the scoreboard? No, absolutely not. Louisville's going to move the ball. They're going to score some points. I fully understand that, but I think our defense can obviously come up with enough stops, and then the offense is going to have to come on the field and get it done. And with that said, turning the page to this Clemson offense and how well they have been playing lately. And honestly, Cade Klubnik's last game coming into the bye week was probably one of his worst games throwing the ball. He wasn't particularly accurate in that game. He missed quite a few throws that in other games we've seen him routinely make. But coming out of the bye week, obviously he got a fresh reset. You heard him talk in his interview this week about how he got to go back home for a couple of days and just kind of mentally reset, kind of decompress, and then back at it, preparing for Louisville. So this Clemson offense has pretty much their full slate of weapons. We already talked about the few injuries that we have. Bryant Wesco and Tyler Brown. I think Bryant Wesco will play. His snaps will probably be limited, but I do think he'll be somewhat of a factor in this game. But talk about this Clemson offense and how they match up against this Louisville defense. Now, as good as this Louisville offense is, their defense is not great. And I see this Clemson offense matching up very well with them. So give us a little insight on how you think this Clemson Tiger offense will fare against this Louisville defense in this game on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this Louisville defense, I mean, they were really, really strong for a lot of the season last year. On the defensive line, I think they're actually pretty good. All in all, I don't think they've played as well as at times as they possibly could have. But I think up front, I think they can present some challenges. But really, the second level of that defense has really, really let them down this year. Just watching their games, they have not defended the pass well at all, like really at all. I think this is a game where you're going to have a lot of opportunities in the passing game if you're patient. I think one of the biggest things is, with this defense is, I think they're good on the defensive line, but they have not gotten to the quarterback. They've not finished in terms of getting sacks and tackles for loss as much as you probably would have thought, on paper heading into the season. Their pressure numbers are pretty good, but in terms of getting sacks and tackles for loss, they have not been particularly great. And their secondary has given up a lot of explosive plays this year. I'm not really sure what the issue is. I think in some games it's been, finishing tackles. They've just not been great at that. They've been really, really just kind of out of sorts. And it's not like, they are a pretty heavy zone team. but it just seems like they're not really always communicating, like in terms of when to pass off guys, when to run with guys. So I don't know. I think with how Clemson and Garrett Riley has schemed up this offense this year, I think giving this defense a lot of eye candy could open up some explosive plays for you, because I think they do get tricked pretty easily on the back end. So as long as the offensive line is protecting and is playing as well as they have this year, I think you'll be able to move the ball. I think you'll be able to score points on this defense. Just execute the game plan. I don't think there needs to be anything special that you have to do. You just continue to play your game the way you have all season, and then I think you'll be able to score some points in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree with you. Take your shots. The offensive line's got to do their job. Give Cade the time that he needs, and Garrett Riley's scheme will do the rest. And I think we'll hit quite a few explosive plays in this game. And I think the defense will obviously do enough. I don't think this, some people have talked about this matchup, potentially turning into a shootout of sorts. I trust our defense a little bit more than that, at least that first team defense. And, I think Clemson can really put up some points against this Louisville defense. I think it's a really good matchup for us. I think we're going to be able to move the ball really well and put up quite a few points in this game.
Yeah. I do think the shootout, the potential for a shootout is there. I don't want to say that, because I think this Louisville offense is good enough. And if they're hitting on all cylinders, you could be in for a tight game. Another spread is sitting at
they can put up some numbers. That's for sure.
The total is in the 60s. I can't remember the last time a Clemson game has been Clemson total has been in the 60s.
Yeah, 63.5. I think it's right now.
It's been a minute. So yeah, this Louisville offense can score some points. So I think the potential is there, especially if you don't get the effort, you get a lackadaisical effort to start from this defense. It could be a long day, and it might put a lot more pressure on your offense to score points. So I think it's important for Clemson to get off to a good start in this one.
Yeah,
because like I said, Louisville, when they get going, they are really, really tough to stop. I mean, you saw it against Miami.
And they definitely have the weapons to stress this Clemson defense and put up yards and even put up points. But I just need this defense to come out and start fast. I need them to start settling into a consistent defense that's executing. And they've shown spurts of it this season, but I feel like this is the game. This could be a coming out party for the Clemson defense. I really want to see them come in against a really good Louisville offense. I'm not trying to disrespect the Louisville offense at all, but I need this Clemson defense to come out and have a really good showing against a really good offense. And they got a huge opportunity this week to kind of silence some of the noise that has been building slowly about the Clemson defense this season. So I think this is a game where our defense should feel challenged. The coaches should feel challenged. The players should feel challenged. And they should go out there and try to make a statement. And that's my hopes for the defense this week.
Yep, absolutely. As far as special, I already mentioned earlier in the show, kind of special teams. They just don't lose you the game. They do. Louisville does have some.
Keep kicking the ball out of the end zone.
Don't kick to Louisville, because they do have some guys with some shake and some speed. So don't do that. Robert Gunn, keep doing what you've been doing.
Yeah, just kick it out the back of the end zone. That's all we need you to do.
Absolutely. So, I think this game has the potential to go, a myriad of ways. we'll talk about it in the score prediction. But I think, like I said, getting off to a fast start defensively, I think is paramount, because if Louisville feels like if they score, it's like, especially if they score on their first possession, they go right down the field.
Yeah,
they're a team that they are very much a momentum offense, and they can turn it on in a hurry. I mentioned the Miami game. They've done it in even in the near loss against Boston College. They kind of they were down for a little bit, but Boston College kept them in the they hung around, and Louisville just kind of put it on them in that fourth quarter to win that game. So again, this Louisville team, I think they're better than their record. 4-3 or 4-3, or are they 5-3 or 4-3? I can't remember.
I think they're 4-3, 5-3. Excuse me,
5-3. So that's not really indicative of how good this team has actually played from a week to week basis. They've lost some really tight games to good teams. In terms, lost by one score to Notre Dame, lost by one score to Miami. I think they lost by. I think the SMU game was one score.
One score, yeah. They lost by 7 points in each game.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. And they've had to play a lot of games in a row. So they've been really tested, and they've been battle tested. So I think you're going to get their best effort. I think you're going to have to stifle it, and obviously keep doing what you've been doing offensively.
Yeah. Look,
and you should be okay.
I agree with you. That Clemson defense has got to come out and set the tone early. It's a night game in the Valley. The crowd's going to be into it early. There's going to be juice in the building. That the atmosphere is going to be electric. That defense has got to feed off of that energy and set the tone early. Give the offense a chance to get out there, operate, put a score or two on the board, and really start leaning and putting pressure on that Louisville offense and force them into some mistakes. By getting them down early and making them feel that pressure, right? But like you said, that starts with the defense and the tone that they want to set early, and they got to start fast. But I trust that they will.
All right. Let's see. You ready to predict this? Well, I guess we're going to hit the spread and then make the prediction.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and transition to the spread and the score prediction. Obviously, the over-under on this game it opened up at 61.5. It's all the way up to 63.5. So it's been bidded up to 63.5. Spread opened up at 11, and it is down to 10.5 is the spread on the game. So, Jordan, what's your thoughts on the spread? And then what's your score prediction for the game this Saturday?
Yeah, 10.5 is, I think it's a pretty good number. Again, I think Louisville is it's a lot of credit to their offense. I think, like I said, I think they're going to get their best effort, or at least close to it. Jeff Brom, he knows how to put a game plan together. And I do think this Clemson defense has shown enough deficiencies that he'll have a good game plan for them. But you can't let it be, you can't let it turn into touchdowns. Have to get stops. I think Louisville is going to move the ball with some success. So it really is just about, I think, bowing up in the red zone, I think, would go a long way. And then offensively, you want to get off to a fast start, of course, too, because you don't want to give this team the sense that hey, we came in thinking we can win, but now we know we can win, type of thing. So I don't know. I think this game is going to be a little pointsy, not necessarily in the realm of shootout, but I'm kind of in the 30, 41-28 type of game. So a little bit over the total. Clemson's slight cover from Clemson, but I think Louisville is going to score some points in this game. But I think Clemson will be able to score more, so to speak. I think you get enough stops from your defense. I think you'll come out of here with a win. I like 41-28 Clemson. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I like it. I will go over the 63.5. I will also pick Clemson to cover the spread. I just think it sets up really well for the Tigers. I know this Louisville offense is really good. They're going to come in. They're going to score some points. But the atmosphere at a night game in the Valley, haven't lost to Louisville yet. I don't think that changes this Saturday. Clemson is a very tough team to beat in the Valley. And I would assume that the numbers would play out that they're even tougher to beat at a night game in the Valley. So I expect the fan base to come out and be energetic and that environment to be very juiced up. I expect the defense to feed off of that and set the tone. Try to limit this Louisville offense as best you can. Still think they put up quite a few points. I'm going to go 42-24. Clemson takes the win, covers pretty comfortably, 18-point win for the Tigers. So that's how I see it playing out.
All right, so you and I are on the same page. We think that Clemson covers, but this game could go a different direction if you come out lacking on either side of the ball.
Yeah, it could be uncomfortable in the fourth quarter if Louisville's offense really gets it going. So
yeah,
there is a world where that is a possibility. Make no mistake about it. But that's our score prediction. You guys get your score predictions in the comment section real quick. Speaking of spread and speaking of score predictions, listen to this message from Mark Rogers about Voice of College Football bets.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.
All right, guys, you heard Mark there. If sports betting is your thing, you like putting a little wager on college football games, go check out Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football Bets, and get some of those inside picks. If that is what you are into, win a little bit of money this Saturday. And tell them that the guys over on the Clemson channel sent you over there. Appreciate your support. All right, guys, we got 40 people in the live chat right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to do a quick BYOG or sell and then turn it to the comment section. Hit that like button while you guys are in here. We'll do one apiece, Jordan, because we're short on time. And then we'll go from there and get a few comments in here and then get out of here for the night.
Let's do it.
All right, BYOG or sell, quite possibly the best segment, I guess we do here on the All In Show. At least
they're all great. They're all great, man.
It's a fan favorite. So
okay,
BYOG or sell, I'm going to go Cade Klubnik for 4+ touchdowns on Saturday.
Ooh, 4+. Okay.
4+.
I'm gonna say BYOG. I think this is a game where I think you're really going to lean on your passing game, which is nice to say that you can do that. I think there's just going to be too many. There's just going to be too many opportunities. I think not to feel good about Cade. And you said 4 touchdowns in general, so it can be 4 passing, 4.
Yeah, I just said I didn't specify passing or rushing.
Okay, just total touchdowns.
He would be responsible for 4+ touchdowns.
I like that. BYOG. And honestly, I think that's about the right number for.
Yeah.
So, yep. I like it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and buy on it as well. It's funny. You kind of mentioned it. Like we talk about the Clemson, like we're, this is the 8th game of the season, right? So it's just like we talk about this Clemson passing game kind of nonchalantly sometimes. And just looking back at the past 3 seasons, it's kind of crazy where we've come just from last season. Cade looks like a completely different player. The receivers are, just balling out. The offensive line, it's completely different offense this year. It's fun to watch. And I'm happy to come on here and be able to legitimately predict that Cade's going to go for 4+ touchdowns in a game on Saturday, because last year somebody would have been checking me for
getting the 2 was a struggle.
I was taking.
I mean, getting the 2 was a struggle last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Just like we would have just went for no touchdowns and no turnovers. That
right. Just give the ball to Ship and Maffa and hope they just pray.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so definitely a refreshing change of pace. All right, BYOG or sell. I'm actually going to steal one from my guy Austin, our resident Louisville fan. He's here from time to time. Good friend of the show. Been around just in the Mark Rogers, voice of college football community, a long time. He says BYOG or sell. Clemson defense forces. I'm actually going to edit it slightly. He says 3 takeaways. I'm going to say 2. I feel like 2 seems like a more. Ooh, okay, maybe I can see it. I really don't expect 3, but forces 2 takeaways. BYOG or sell.
I'm gonna. 2 takeaways. I'm gonna buy. I think it's close, but if Clemson starts widening a gap between them and Louisville, you could see Tyler Shuck try to make some hero ball plays and then try to force some things to, close that gap. And we know how opportunistic our cornerbacks and safeties have been this season when it comes to baiting some quarterbacks into some bad decisions. So I will buy.
And I think I will buy as well, as far as 2 takeaways. I think because, one thing that's been interesting with Tyler Shuck is I believe he has 5 interceptions on the year.
He does.
I think all 5 of them have been in the last 4 games.
Yeah.
They've generally been really good about taking care of the football, but in some of these these tougher games, Tyler has given the ball to the defense at least once. This Clemson defense has been really good all season at getting takeaways. It feels like this would be a good opportunity, and of course, turnovers, especially against an offense like this, go a long way in terms of getting some distance on the scoreboard. So
yeah. I mean, you force Louisville into a couple turnovers, give your offense the ball in plus territory. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we need from this defense this week. You got to put some distance between you and this Louisville offense, and really force them to hopefully become one-dimensional in the second half.
Absolutely. Because that's when you really get to tee off. Obvious getting them in obvious.
That's when your D-line gets to, pin their ears back, come after the quarterback. That's when Wes Goodwin can get a little bit creative with some cornerback blitzes or some safety blitzes, and really, come after Louisville and speed up Tyler Shuck, make him uncomfortable, and force some more mistakes. So,
and especially
ideal.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about Tyler Shuck is not it's not a super mobile quarterback, and you've faced some guys that have been able to escape pressure, this season. Whether it was Ashton Daniels, Hank Bachmeier at Wake Forest was giving you had a couple of runs. Of course, Anthony Calandria hurts you a little bit with his legs.
Last week that freaking not last week, the week before.
Yeah,
the Virginia game.
That third and 17, man.
3rd and 17. Yeah, that's what it was. Oh my goodness, I was so irritated.
I don't think Tyler Shuck is going to be doing that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
and they're going to want they don't really want to run him anyway because just throughout his career he's been a guy that's struggled with injuries. So, I think this is as good an opportunity as any against a quarterback that's not super mobile and an offensive line that has not protected their quarterback particularly well this year. This would be a good chance for you to, get a little bit more on the sack total than you've had this year.
Absolutely. All right, Jordan, that does it for our BYOG or sell. We can hit a couple from the comment section before we hop out of here.
All right, let's do it. Some of you guys have gotten some BYOG or sells in the comments. I'll hit a few of those. Dylan Spell with good Lord. He says BYOG or sell Jake Brinkstool with 3 touchdowns in the game. I'm selling that. That's just I think this will be I think this is a good opportunity for him to have a big game, but 3 touchdowns
that's a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, I got to sell.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can predict anybody going for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's not a receiver.
Yeah, I mean Clemson's just spread the ball around so much this season that it's hard to see anybody getting 3 touchdowns in one game.
Yeah. Let's see. Jay, BYOG or sell. Clemson offense has more big play touchdowns than short yardage. That's a good one. That's tough. You haven't really seen as many big play touchdowns this year. I mean, you've had big plays,
right? That got you into
the red zone, and you finished. I don't know. Bryant Wesco, if he can't go, that affects this a little bit.
I guess what do we consider a big play touchdown? Like outside of the red zone?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends because if you're just talking explosive touchdowns, that's just 20. Generally, most define it as 20 or more yards. Some do 15. But
I'd say any touchdown outside of the red zone, I guess, would be considered explosive.
I will more big play touchdowns than short yardage. I will sell.
Yeah,
but I think the opportunity is there. Yeah, I mean, just it depends. But of course, it depends. But I don't know. That's a good one.
That's a good one, man. I'll buy it.
Okay.
We'll just be on opposite ends on that one, just because I feel like it's a coin toss regardless. Like I could definitely see it going either way. It's a hard one to answer. But that was a good one, Jay. So
yeah, I like
we'll
that one.
On that one.
David Wood, buy or sell Wood's first touchdown. And
I hope so.
That'd be fun, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll sell.
They should give him a carry. I
haven't seen them give him a carry yet, but it's in there. There's a play where they hand it off.
I think it's coming eventually.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if this will be the week.
Yeah,
but I would buy that Woods will get at least 1 rushing touchdown before the regular season is over. I'll buy that. I think so too. But this week, I don't know. I'll sell this week.
They've been building on that jumbo package.
It's so funny because Chappell asked about it, and then the very next week, the jumbo package debuted itself.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Chappell reminded Dabo.
He was like,
he's like, oh shoot, yeah, we did use
that is something that crossed my mind. Like, did he trigger something in Dabo's mind? Was like, you know what? We should have a jumbo package. Hey, Garrett Riley. Hey, let's practice jumbo package this week.
Yeah. Oh man,
it looks unstoppable at this point, though. So.
Oh yeah, teams don't have an answer for it.
You got Peyton Page in there. You got DeMonte Capehart in there.
I saw somebody note Peter Woods, he's different from other defensive linemen we've had do the, in the jumbo package, because he's not just running to, like, especially when he's blocking, like he blocks with good technique and like he's not just like throwing his body at somebody. He deserves a carry. That'd be fun.
Yeah. That poor dude that poor defensive lineman that DeMonte Capehart crashed down on. I was just like, oh man, that's what are you gonna do? What you want me to do, Coach? I got nothing.
All right. Just trying to see if there was any more. Clemson football kickoff with a good one. BYOG or sell Clemson scores after each turnover. Yeah, I'll buy. This team has been really they've been really good at scoring off of turnovers. That's been one of the calling cards, and something that's definitely been a point of emphasis. It feels like they've created turnovers well this year, and of course, and they've capitalized, not just like getting pick sixes and obviously defensive touchdowns, but getting turnover and sometimes not even turnovers in that you get in plus territory. They've still gone down the field and scored. So I will buy that. This team has been really good about that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll buy that. We've definitely played complementary football when it comes to the turnover margins. And Louisville's -2 in the turnover margin
on the year.
On the year, yeah. So
good to know. Good to know. Steel Gamble, BYOG or sell. Avion Terrell will have a pick six. Yeah, I have to sell. I would love to see it, but honestly, just predicting a pick six is just
it's very specific. Yeah,
and it's it's random, really. But just even statistically, getting an interception, when you get an interception, whether or not it goes for six, it's mostly random. Well,
unless you jump a route, and then
it very much depends on the route run and what defense you're in, whether or not
if they're running like this quick out route and you jump it, like you're probably going for six. Like
that can go for six. But if you're down the field and
or if it's a crosser route across the middle, like you're probably not returning that for six.
Austin says BYOG or sell. Clemson kicks 2 field goals in the red zone.
God, I hope not. I'm a sell.
I hope not.
I'm not gonna put that in the universe, so I'm a sell. I'll be so mad.
I it would be disappointing. Obviously, game script and how the game is playing out will dictate that those types of decisions. But I do think scoring touchdowns in this game is paramount, because if
yes, I mean, especially
Louisville has the ability. Like if you don't get enough separation on the scoreboard, Louisville will get find their way back in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
They're ahead.
You got to be a little aggressive in the red zone, in my mind, because you are playing an offense that can put points on the board in a hurry. Yeah. So settling for field goals like you did against, Virginia, like you did against
Florida State.
Florida
State flat out. You just knew.
Florida State, you knew kicking a field goal was fine, because they're not going down and scoring anything. They're just not. Like, it's not going to happen. So kicking a field goal against a team like that, with as bad as their offense has been, was okay. Like, you could play that game a lot more conservative. When you're playing an offense like Louisville, you're not afforded that luxury of being able to kick multiple field goals, especially in the red zone. So I hope not.
Let's do a couple more.
That would mean Louisville's probably hanging around in this game if we're kicking multiple field goals in the red zone.
I think so. BYOG or sell. Antonio throws another pass on Saturday. I don't know. I think Louisville has seen it. You've done it twice this year now. I'm sure that's something that they will have in mind. Louisville's, defense will have in mind. I don't know. Maybe you do something. I mean, maybe you run a play similar. You get the ball out to Antonio in space, and it looks like he's going to throw it, but instead he runs it. Or I don't know. This offense has been really good this year about showing similar looks and doing different things off of it.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to see Antonio throw another pass. It's worked the 2 times you've done it. So
yeah. The first pass looked much better than the second pass.
Yeah, the second one got Troy Stellato killed a little bit.
Yeah,
at least we know it's not just a Cade thing. I think Troy Stellato is
just Troy Stellato. Yeah, he's like a magnet for hospital balls, man.
Yeah,
it must be something about his face or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like I said, anti-Italian discrimination. That's what it
is. Yeah, for sure. And David Woods said, "Can we clone Peter Woods?" I wish.
Yeah, I would take 22 Peter Woods on my team.
Yeah. Can we get about 5 or 6 of those on the defensive line? We'll be good to go.
Oh yeah. Best D line in the country.
Yeah,
the one by far. He also asked about Antonio's quarterback rating. He doesn't have enough passes to qualify for quarterback rating, but I know his passer rating is like 600 something. Yeah. In college, it's different from the NFL. It's like
by far the best quarterback on the roster. I don't really know what Dabo's doing, but
right,
we do have a yesterday.
All right. One more to close us out. I think I skipped over the one I wanted to do. I think I lost it. Yeah, whatever. I'll find a different one. Okay, we'll hit this one from Austin. He says, last one for me.
That's a good one. Yeah.
BYOG or sell. Clemson takes the opening kickoff if they win the coin toss. Well, I'm selling.
Yeah.
I just. Oh wait, hold on. I'm thinking of. I don't know why when I read that question I was thinking like you take the opening kickoff back for like a touchdown.
No. That's what I thought the same thing, but no.
I had a dumb moment. My fault. He said, it means Clemson takes the ball first. That is a good one. This is it does feel it is a different game than the one that Clemson has played, recently. Definitely since Georgia. I don't know. When they've gotten the opportunity, they've kicked mostly up until after the Georgia game.
Yeah,
they decided they elected to take the opening kickoff because there was a whole mess sending a message to the offense. It's like, hey, it's like we're gonna keep doing it until you guys grow up.
Yeah. I think you kick for a couple of reasons, right? You want your defense to come out and start fast. The atmosphere is going to be electric. Fans are going to be juiced up, right? They just ran down the hill. Everybody's, juiced up and excited. I think you maximize that opportunity by making Louisville trot their offense out on the field and face that crowd noise. And hopefully you get them a quick 3 and out and, your offense comes out and puts a drive together. That would be my thought process. Just kind of maximizing that environment and seeing what Louisville's got first.
I think I'm with you, but it wouldn't surprise me if they took it.
Yeah, they might. Hey, who knows?
So there are 2 schools of thought there. It's like, okay, well, maybe we want our offense to get rolling and send set the tone like that can and send a message. But I don't know. You're at home. I don't think you need to do whatever to do what makes sense. Do what you've been doing, and I think you come out with the win. I said that was the last one, but we did get a super chat from Zachariah. Thank you so much. He has a BYOG or sell. He says Clemson holds Louisville under 3 yards a carry.
Ooh.
Clemson has been pretty good from a per carry standpoint in terms of run defense the past few weeks.
What are they averaging per carry?
I'm going to holding any team.
They're averaging 5.2 on the season.
Yeah, they are a pretty good running team when they do run it. I'm gonna sell. Isaac Brown has been a really, really good running back. They have a couple. They have a few really good backs, but obviously Brown has been the star. It's hard to hold any team under 3 yards of carry, and with an offense that does throw the ball as well as they do, it's going to be hard to limit them that much. That's really difficult to do, and this is the most capable passing offense you've played all season, and when you have to dedicate more resources to the pass, of course, leaves you more vulnerable to the run. I don't expect Louisville to just run it down your throat, but holding someone under 3 yards of carry is probably unrealistic. I think a good number for Clemson in this game, if you can hold Louisville to 4, maybe 3.5 would be really ideal.
Yeah,
but like 4, I think that gives they'll have, that means they're having some success, but it's really sporadic. And something it's getting them behind the chains on some sets of downs, and maybe it helps you get some stops. I think if you hold them to 4 or 3.5 to 4, I think that would be a realistic and a realistic number. But of course, if you do hold them under that, that's great too. But I from a realistic standpoint, I think 3.5 to 4 would be good enough to kind of keep their offense a little bit off schedule and make some things more difficult for them when they have to pass.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, Zachariah, for supporting the channel. Really do appreciate your super chat there.
Absolutely. I think that's going to do it for us.
Yeah, I think that does it for the show tonight. A little bit of a shorter show just due to us starting so late. But appreciate each and every one of you guys for showing up tonight. Still got 49 people in the live chat. Hit that like button if you have not already before you get out of here tonight. Consider subscribing if you have not already subscribed. As you guys know, right here, 8 p.m. every Wednesday, me and Jordan are here to do the All-In show. We also do post-game live reactions to each and every Clemson game every Saturday that we play. So check us out this Saturday. Probably doing a post-game show around 11 or so, depending on when the game ends. But we will be right here immediately following the game this Saturday. Win, lose, great win, close win, doesn't really matter. We will be right here to give you our raw, unfiltered reaction to the game. So hope you guys will come hang out with us this Saturday. Hopefully our resident Louisville guy, I know he'll be in here chopping it up with us after the game. Look forward to it, man. You can come in and talk all the trash you want, or if we win, we won't be too hard on you.
No, we won't.
But yeah, that'll do it for tonight, guys. Until next time, I'm Tiger Paul Craven. He's Jordan Bowman. Go Tigers.
Later, y'all.